for translation. I'll just mention a couple of things while we're waiting, my own observations. There are other countries where people are punished for being bloggers. For example, in Bangladesh, some bloggers have been hacked to death last year. But in Bangladesh, they were hacked to death by individual extreme Islamist groups. In Saudi Arabia, it's the government that is punishing bloggers. That's the difference. So I'm just making that observation in my own opinion. And we're just waiting for translation for a moment. I'll just fill in people a little bit more then. He was sentenced to 1,000 lashes. The first 50 lashes almost killed Raif. There was an international outcry last January, and the outcry obviously has had some effect because the lashes were meant to be carried out 50 every Friday after Friday prayers for 20 weeks, but they keep on being suspended. So he's still in prison, he's in terrible conditions, but he hasn't been lashed further until now. And in fact, the lashes are, in effect, life-threatening because they're so horrendous. I'll just say something else as well while we're waiting then. Because of concerns about other family members in Saudi Arabia, Ensaf doesn't want to talk about the new king, but I might say a few words in my own opinions about what's happening in Saudi Arabia. Ensaf, it's okay? No, okay. So I'll just while we're waiting for a headphone, as I said, because of various concerns, Ensaf doesn't want to talk specifically about the king in Saudi Arabia. But there was a new king, King Salman, came to the throne about a year ago, and some people had hopes that the situation might improve in Saudi Arabia. In fact, it's got considerably worse since he came to the throne. The number of executions has gone up greatly, to the point that the Saudi authorities even advertised for 8 new executioners because they didn't have enough executioners last year. Those people also had to be trained on how to do amputations of various limbs in addition to executions. And Saudi Arabia is third in the world after China and Iran in the number of executions it carries out. So I'm just letting people know a little bit about Saudi Arabia. So, Ensaf, turning to Raif. Okay.
We're bringing an interpreter.
Okay, so while we just wait for the interpreter, I'll just mention a few other things about Saudi Arabia. They also have been bombing Yemen since last March. Thousands and thousands of civilians have been killed. Amnesty International says that many of those killed were killed deliberately as Saudi-led coalition airplanes hit hospitals and schools and the like, indiscriminately bombing the population. This has not been in the media the same way that, for example, the Syria war has been in the media, but the situation in Yemen is hardly much better. And for various reasons, the media does not cover Saudi Arabia in the way that the conflict may be, one might expect. Anyway, we'll now return to Raif's particular case. How is Raif's mental condition? How is he holding up? I mean, can you speak to him? Can he speak to his children? Does he have a lawyer? Can a lawyer visit him?
في تواصل بيني وبين رائف. في الأول أعتذر عن العطل اللي حصل وتعطي لكم. في تواصل بيني وبين رايف، ولكن هو اللي يستطيع إنه يتصل علي. أنا ما أقدر أتصل عليه مهما كنت محتاجته في وقت، ما أقدر أتصل عليه لأنه ما يوجد عنده تليفون. التليفون اللي يتواصل معايا تليفون عام لكل السجناء. التواصل معايا بشكل بسيط، يعني مرة في الأسبوع أو مرتين، مكالمة جدا قصيرة.
Kasim, why don't you just sum that up for everybody?
There is a communication between me and Raif, but first of all, I would like to apologize for this technical error or technical problem. Unfortunately, Raif, I could not reach him when I want, but he's the one who calls me sometimes from once a week to twice. And the communication with him is very limited and very limited.
It's somewhat of a personal question, but how is his physical condition, not just his mental condition? He's a relatively frail young man. He's 32, by the way, now, Raif Badawi. The lashes he received could break many a person. Is he still physically scarred?
أكيد السجن يظل السجن يعني أكيد وضعه الصحي سيء وضعه النفسي سيء الجلد هذا يعني ممكن أن يكون الجلد آثاره خلاص انتهت ولكن آثارها النفسية لسه موجودة نفسيته سيئة 4 سنين بعيد عن أولاده محكوم ب10 سنين 10 سنين منع من السفر يعني 20 سنة سجن بعيد عن أولاده هذه أكيد لها تأثير عليه يعني أصغر وحدة أكبر وحدة في أولاده لما يطلع من السعودية حيكون عمرها 32 سنة أكيد الوضع جدا صعب نفسيا وصحيا بالنسبة له
For sure, the situation is very difficult, and his psychological and physical state is very bad. And since the flogging, he's not feeling good. And of course, there is this also develops the psychological pain. That's the fact that he has been away from his children for this long. For example, the older child, when Raif's sentence is over, she will be 32 years old.
Yes, I should just point out for people, there's a 10-year sentence in prison, but afterwards there's a 10-year travel ban where he's not allowed to leave Saudi Arabia, and Safa and her 3 young children in Canada. So the oldest daughter's 12, so that's what we mean by 32. How are your children coping? They've been in Canada since October 2013. How are they managing?
نحاول إننا نكون طبيعيين أكيد مستحيل إنه يكون الوضع طبيعي بس نحاول إنه يكون الوضع طبيعي أولادي طبعاً يروحوا على المدرسة حياتنا شبه طبيعية ولكن لا زال في انتظار الانتظار جداً صعب يعني الإنسان لو انتظر الطيارة في المطار لو انتظر 5 دقائق أو نص ساعة يعتبرها كتير طويلة فإحنا منتظرين صار لنا 4 سنين.
We try to be normal. It's of course impossible in this situation to be normal or to live a normal life. The waiting is a horrible thing and is a difficult thing. And if a man has to wait for an airplane for 5 minutes or half an hour, it's an unbearable situation. How can you imagine someone you have to wait for someone for like already 5 years and you don't know how long it would take?
What about his legal situation? Does he have access to a good lawyer, a lawyer that he can choose himself? Are there any prospects for an appeal or early release?
يؤسفني يعني إن أقول المحامي في السعودية ما يقدر يعمل شيء وللأسف كمان الشديد إنه محامي رائف اللي هو وليد أبو الخير كمان في السجن.
I'm sorry to say that a lawyer in Saudi Arabia cannot do much. And I'm also sorry to say that the lawyer of Raif Badawi, Abul Khir, is also right now in jail.
Let me just ask then about the international community, okay? Which governments are helping? I understand that specifically Canada, you have asked the new Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, who assumed office last month, to give Raif citizenship that might help his status legally and internationally. What did the Canadian government say? Are they helping?
أول شيء أنا أشكر كندا، يعني كندا فعلا أول دولة قبلت بلجوئي، تبنتني أنا وأولادي، ألف شكر لهم. ولكن أتمنى إنه إعطاء الجنسية لرايف حتى تساعده إنه يطلع من السعودية، لأنه لما نناقش الموضوع الجنسية فقالوا إنه السعودية ما تقبل بازدواج الجنسيات. فبالعكس يعني هذا الشيء الجنسية الكندية لما حتعطى الرايف بكده حيتساعدوا إنه لما حيطلع حيكون له الحق إنه يترحل من السعودية.
First of all, I would like to thank Canada. Canada was the first country which accepted my asylum and adopted me and my children. And I still hope he gets the Canadian citizenship because this would be very helpful. The Canadians said that we cannot give him the citizenship because the Saudis don't have such thing like dual citizenship. But I believe this would be very helpful, and I could say why. Because when he leaves the jail, when he gets freed, he will be a citizen of Canada, and he would not automatically not be a citizen of Saudi Arabia. And instead of banning him from travel, he would probably be deported to his country.
I might add that the government of Canada last year signed a $15 billion weaponized armored vehicle contract with the Saudi government for $15 billion over the last 14 years. Other Western countries too sell a lot of arms and do a lot of other trade with Saudi Arabia. In spite of this, should they not be raising human rights? Indeed, it could be, they could use leverage in the fact that if all of them said we're not going to sell Saudi arms unless you improve your human rights situation, maybe it would be of assistance.
Do you mean, what do I think?
Well, are you disappointed with the fact that the big Western democracies, not just Canada, the United States, Britain, France, and so on, don't put more pressure on the human rights issues in general, in Saudi Arabia, but also elsewhere for that matter?
أنا أشكر كل الدول اللي واقفة مع قضية رايف، وأتمنى منهم إنهم يبذلوا قصارى جهدهم فإنهم يحكوا ويطالبوا بحقوق الإنسان بالنسبة لرايف أو لغيره من سجناء الرأي. إنما أنا مش من حقي إني أتدخل في الطريقة، ولكن هم اللي يقرروا. أهم شيء إنه يكون في حقوق إنسان يحكوا عنها، وأنا أتمنى إنهم يجتهدوا في الطلب في إطلاق سراح رايف ولم شملنا فيه.
I would like to thank all the countries which are helping Raif and doing a lot to demand his freedom, and all the political and opinion prisoners. It's not my right to interfere into the policies of the Western countries and tell them what to do or not. But I believe it's very important that they raise the issues of human rights and take them as a priority.
What about women's rights? Maybe just on a personal level, how was it being a woman, a free-thinking woman in Saudi Arabia?
لو كان لي حقوقي كإنسانة وكامرأة في السعودية ما كان طلعت منها، لكن للأسف أنا في السعودية مش من حقي إني أعمل ولا أي شيء. دائما أمشي بولي أمري.
If I had rights in Saudi Arabia, I would not be forced at the first place to leave. And I would not have to live under a male guardian.
I just want to interject for one moment because, as I mentioned, Ensaf, for various reasons, because she has various family members there, doesn't want to discuss this, but to let the audience know that the authorities, as part of the harassment, arrested Raif Badawi's sister last month, Samar. She was held for 24 hours and then released on bail, but she's still continuing to be legally persecuted. They've also arrested Raif Badawi's sister's husband, and I believe he remains in prison. So, like I said a few minutes ago, the new king, Salman, has actually instituted a bigger crackdown on Saudi liberals and freedom of speech and so on. So I'm just letting people know about that. What about NGOs and so on? In December, in Strasbourg, the European Parliament awarded their prestigious 2015 Sakharov Prize for Freedom of Thought. That's named after the famous Soviet dissident and human rights advocate Andrei Sakharov. And that was awarded to Raif. And Ensaf went to Strasbourg and accepted it on behalf of her husband. And quite a lot of other NGOs in Europe have given prizes, the Penn Pinter Prize last year, the Franco-German Journalism Prize for 2015, the Reporters Without Borders Sweden Prize, the Freedom of Speech Award from Deutsche Welle, prizes in Denmark, and so on. It's obviously heartwarming to get these gives you hope and heartwarming to get these prizes, but do you think they influence the Saudi authorities? Are they listening to NGOs?
هذه الجوائز تعطيك أمل بطبيعة الحال. هل تعتقدين أنها تؤثر على السعودية بشكل ما؟
أكيد يعني إنه لها تأثير علينا إحنا مثل ما حضرتك قلت إنها تعطينا أمل، وأكيد حيجي اليوم اللي تأثر فيه على تغيير الحكم وعلى إطلاق سراح رايف. فأنا أنتظر هذا اليوم وأتمنى إنه يكون قريب.
For sure, it does influence us. It gave us hope, and sure, there will come the day that it will also help in Raif's case and also probably to change the regime.
What about Raif himself within Saudi Arabia? Are people aware of the case? Is it reported in the media? Is he an inspiration? Or maybe a lot of people support the government in their treatment of him?
هل هو كيف رد الشعب عليه وهل هو أيضا مصدر للإلهام للشباب السعودي؟
الشعب مثل ما أنا دائما أقول إنه كل بيئة فيها اختلاف، يعني في اللي معه وفي اللي ضد، فهذا الطبيعي يعني. بس للأسف يعني عندنا في السعودية اللي ضد أكثر من اللي معه، يعني اللي معه نسبة قليلة جدا حتى لدرجة إنه أصواتهم مش مسموعة.
The people, as I always say, that every nature has or witnesses difference, There are people who are with and there are people who are contra. And in Saudi Arabia, the people, unfortunately, who are against are the majority. And the people who are with Raif, their voices are not being heard.
What about ordinary people, such as the audience here? Is there something they can do to help?
ما الناس العاديين اللي مثل هؤلاء اللي معنا في القاعة هل هنالك أشياء يستطيعون القيام بها؟ هل هنالك أشياء يقوموا بها من أجل رائف؟ الناس العاديين.
أنا أشكر كل العالم اللي معايا واللي عاطيني من وقتهم حتى يسمعوني. أنا حتى لو إنهم مش قادرين يعملوا شيء يكفيني إنهم معايا وعاطيني الأمل. وقفتهم معايا هي اللي تعطيني الأمل. ألف شكر لهم، وأتمنى من أي أحد يكون في إيده شيء إنه يعمله أتمنى إنه ما يبخل فيه.
I would like to thank all the world. By your stand with me, you gave me hope, and everybody could do whatever he can and whatever is possible to do.
But by the way, I'd like to mention to people that not NSAF, but some supporters of Raif in Canada there's a website in both English and French set up by the Raif Badawi Foundation. So you can Google that in either English or French, and there's lots of information there. Do you have any message also from Raif, if you're able to speak to him on occasion, for the world, for us?
أكيد يعني رائف دائما يشكر كل العالم اللي معاه ويشكرهم فردا ويشكر الحكومات اللي واقفة معاه دائما. يقول لي إنه هم اللي يعطوه الأمل، هم اللي ما اختلفنا، هو مؤمن بقضيته وهو شجاع، بس العالم وجودهم ووقفتهم مع رايف وتنديدهم بإطلاق سراحه أكيد هذا له أثر نفسي كبير عليه. وأتمنى منهم إنهم يستمروا وما ينسوا رايف ويكون رايف دائما في ذاكرتهم. وألف شكر لهم مني ومن رايف ومن أولادي. ألف شكر لكل العالم اللي واقف معنا.
Certainly, Raif always thanks the people, individual who have been supporting him, and he doesn't only thank the government or the Western governments who showed support to him. He believes in, of course, he believes in his case, and he believes in what he stands for. And Raif is a very brave man, and in the same time he appreciates a lot how the world is standing with him, and he wants them to continue demanding for his release, and that not to forget him. And I would like, on my name and on the name of my children, to thank everyone.
And to conclude, we of course would like to thank you, because you're very brave, just like your husband, and we're thinking of him and of all other non-violent political prisoners in Saudi Arabia and elsewhere. And we'd like to thank you for coming today to share with us your thoughts, and we hope that very soon Raif will be released and he will be able to reunite with yourself and his children in Canada and continue blogging freely like the rest of us can. And thank you very much for joining us today. A big round of applause.
أنا كمان أشكركم كثير، أشكر كل المنظمة اللي قاموا بهذا التنظيم. ألف شكر لكم وكل القائمين على هذا التنظيم، وأشكركم على إعطائكم من وقتكم وسماعكم لي.
And I would like to thank you all very, very much. And I would like also to thank UN Watch for organizing this summit.